Okay, so we talk about the conversation. Let's get our conversation into, okay, it is really not a municipal law that needs to be changed. It is a state law that needs to be changed.
Correct.
So it does kind of break my heart to see the parents go to the school board meetings and consistently yell at them. And it's almost ineffective because who should they really be talking to? They're not going to vote to change themselves. They have to talk to the people down in Springfield.
Yeah.
Who in Springfield should they be talking to? Who's responsible for voting yay or nay?
Right, so they should start with their own state reps and state senators, right? So start in your own local community. You know, obviously we do know, that Speaker Madigan, Senate President Cullerton, these are, major political figures in Chicago and obviously in the state of Illinois, and so we know legislation has to be vetted, through various committees, but getting a yes vote from your state rep, getting a commitment from your state senator that says, listen, I'm in favor of democracy and we're going to bring local control back.
Who is the state rep that's sponsoring the bill?
I think LG Sims in the House.
Okay. And LG Sims is from what district?
34th district, I believe.
Okay. All right. So what you need to do is you have to contact your state rep to find out exactly what side of the game are they on this particular bill.
And encourage them to be on the side of some democratic control over Chicago public schools.
And point out to them that we're now having an exodus from the city that now includes the black middle class.
That's right.
And if that doesn't, we saw that in 2010. That was the biggest thing that came out of the census figures, the black middle class is leaving Chicago.
But there are some who are for urban renewal, quote unquote. I'm putting that in very heavy quotes. They see that as a win.
That's true. And
they see that as a win.
That's right. And we did some mapping. We mapped the school closings onto the patterns of gentrification. And
you see my lip, don't you?
Yeah. And especially in the years 2004 through 2010, we saw a very consistent pattern of closing, including good neighborhood schools that had gotten awards, and the next year were closed, and putting in place some sort of selective magnet school or some sort of specialty school for a new gentrifying clientele.
Right,
so there is a relationship.
Right, so $17 million just recently was awarded to Walter Payton.
Exactly.
But schools in Inglewood, Austin, North Lawndale are being disinvested in.
I'm going to flip the script on that because I turned over tables and chairs and used a lot of good cuss words that day when I heard about the $17 million. And I said, man, how nice would it have really been if the high school said, we're good.
Put this in the local schools.
Put it in the local schools. Yeah. It would have been nice for it would have made such a much more meaningful and larger statement, but instead they took the money.
Or the president of DePaul, for that matter, right? $55 million goes into building the stadium in the same season in which we're closing schools. So I do think that it does require some collective pushback from all entities involved.
But at the end of the day, I say this, and I say this with no apology. I think, I'm all about community and loving your brother man, loving your sister friend. I think when it's time to vote, it's one of the very few times where you should be insanely selfish. And you should say, does this candidate have my back? And it's a clear yes or no. And if it's a yes or no, then that's how you should be voting, because then you'll find out when you walk out the booth, oh, they don't have their back either, and our backs are all up against the same wall. Right. So, but the thing is that my thing is that I just want us to be careful, because I would hate for us to now open the floodgate for one more platform of a campaign that can now be bastardized by people and their campaign funds and making sure that their candidates get in. And what I'm hoping and what I am seeing is that a lot of the people that are responsible for voting now, those that are actually participating, are more information literate, and they understand what does it mean to elect a candidate based on something more than a good slogan and a billboard or an ad on TV.
And the information that they can actually ascertain is coming from various mediums, right?
Which is why I think libraries are always under attack, because we're the one place that we'll be like, we'll tell you where to go get the information.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah. I was meeting with a state legislator yesterday from a north side
and I'll let
district.
you have the last word. Go ahead.
And he was talking about how a few years ago, people in his area were basically saying, we know there's a lot of bad things happening in Chicago public schools, but we're basically fine. Now they are up in arms. He said he cannot keep his phone from ringing off the hook because of all the budget cuts and all the turmoil in CPS. So I think what we have now is really a citywide opposition.
Well, what I'm also
to this.
looking forward to is unfortunate, who to me has been awfully silent, are our aldermen. Our aldermen have been way too silent on this conversation.
They need to either
and that's
get on board
and
or
get on
You
board or
wait,
get
give
off.
me the alder whips.
Right. Wouldn't it have been nice if the
Touche.
19 black
on.
aldermen would have stormed into
Yeah.
the
It
mayor's
would have
office?
been very
right?
nice
Same
for
thing.
them to turn over tables and chairs.
Where were they?
Yeah.
Where were they? Come on.
You know
It's a
where they
good
were. They were
question.
at home saying, ain't that a shame, as they sent their kids
Yeah.
to different schools. All right, everybody. Well, that's another cocktail conversation. Thank you for joining
fun.
us. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. And now,